Police are searching for the gunman who shot and killed a mother in an apparent case of road rage. The deadly shooting happened early this morning in southeast Atlanta.
Lieutenant Jermaine Dearlove, he just spoke with us. He says road rage is not a common reason for murder based on his experience.
It is not one of our top motives for homicides in the city. I can't even. It's still small. I can't even give you the number for it. But as in the case, a person is not with us right now because of violence, and we're going to learn. We're going to identify the suspects involved and get them in custody, so they're not a danger to anyone else.
31-year-old Desiree George was a positive, uplifting, and bright woman who always lit up a room with her energy and spirit. She was the type to always stand up for others. Most importantly, she was a loving and devoted mother to her 7-year-old son and her baby girl, who was almost a year old, a role she took very seriously. Sadly, just 6 months ago, Desiree's mother, Daylin George, was killed in a car crash involving a City of College Park truck. The driver faces several charges in her death. Desiree made plans to head to Atlanta to visit family over the Labor Day weekend. Never could she have imagined that this would be a tragic decision. Around 2 a.m. on September 5th, Atlanta police responded to the area of Browns Mill Road in southeast Atlanta for reports of a shooting. Upon arrival, they would locate the body of an unresponsive woman inside of a vehicle.
A quiet neighborhood turns into a crime scene as Atlanta police investigate a woman shot to death in her own car.
This is happening on Browns Mill Road in the Glen Rose Heights neighborhood, which is in southeast Atlanta. We want to get out to Atlanta News First Bridget Spencer, who's been at the scene all morning for us. Bridget, what are you learning from police?
It's a very frightening situation that unfolded here, guys, on the 2900 block of Browns Mill Road. We are being told by police that they are believing that this is a situation, I should say, of road rage. Take a look. There's several cars still out here. A lot of people heard several shots ringing out around 2 o'clock this morning, but we do know that police are looking into this as a case of road rage, saying that is what took the life of this woman while she was still in her car. Now, they say this all happened right around 2 o'clock this morning. The woman they're saying is about 25 to 30 years old. She did die while she was still in the car. Now, police are still working on determining where it all started, but we know the incident ended right here along Browns Mill Road. Meanwhile, this is a residential neighborhood, a quiet area. Many people being awakened, hearing the gunfire, hearing the car screeching. One man says he even saw the victim in her car as she was suffering from gunshot wounds. Another woman told us she saw the cars driving erratically here along this street.
The victim was identified as 31-year-old Desiree George, who was sadly pronounced dead at the scene after succumbing to multiple gunshot wounds. All of this occurred right in front of her 7-year-old son, who was in the back seat. A witness described hearing her son as he screamed and pleaded for help. Atlanta police say there was some type of shootout between 3 vehicles, with Desiree driving into the crossfire. Investigators collected shell casings down the entire block of Browns Mill Road. Several witnesses described seeing multiple vehicles circling a nearby apartment complex before the shooting. Investigators said all the vehicles involved were left on the scene when they arrived, but so far nobody has been arrested. All occupants fled the scene. Police quickly deemed the shooting as a case of road rage. The loss of Desiree is now the second family member the George family has lost within the last 6 months, something they are struggling to come to terms with.
Desiree George's family is just devastated because this is now the second time that they've lost a family member in the last 6 months. They say she was in town visiting for Labor Day when Atlanta police say she was shot and killed right here on Brownsville Road, Mills Road this morning, in what investigators believe was a case of rage behind the wheel. Her family says her 7-year-old son was with her when the bullets started flying. Blue lights mark the scene where 31-year-old Desiree George was shot and killed early Tuesday in what detectives believe was a road rage shooting. It happened along Browns Mill near Mount Zion Roads in southeast Atlanta around 2 in the morning.
Just losing her to a senseless crime, it's hard to bear. Like, grief has just really taking a toll on us this year.
Charles George is Desiree's heartbroken brother. He didn't want us to show his face, but says the loss of his sister is beyond tragic.
I wouldn't remember her in the light that she was. I mean, positive, uplifting, being a defender, being an awesome mother.
Charles says Desiree was a mom to a 7-year-old son and a nearly 1-year-old daughter. He says her son was with her when she was shot multiple times. A witness described hearing him plead for help.
The child was screaming help. That's all the child was screaming was help, and I don't know what the child was screaming help for, but the child was screaming help, help.
Before the shooting, several witnesses described seeing multiple vehicles circling a nearby apartment complex. Investigators said all the vehicles involved were on scene when they arrived, but so far nobody has been arrested.
Whether, you're 25, 75, 80, no one should, die by violence.
The loss of Desiree is now the second time the George family has lost a family member in the last 6 months. Her mom, Dalen George, was killed in a March crash involving a City of College Park truck. The driver faces several charges in her death.
We continue to suffer losses, and it's just hard.
One neighbor said shootings, even road rage incidents, are not surprising in this area at all. Sadly, people have now become numb and are used to things such as this happening.
Now, a family is grieving a loss and a neighborhood is on edge right now.
I'm scared. I was in shock.
Neighbors reacting to what police believe was an extreme case of road rage. Witnesses described the chaotic moments when they arrived on the crime scene.
I just told the dispatcher she's gone. There ain't
You
no
called
help
the
her,
police.
she's gone.
Atlanta police say a woman between 25 to 30 years old was gunned down in a car around 2 a.m. on Browns Mill Road. 3 cars were involved. Neighbors waking up to gunshots and screeching sounds.
I seen her crash at the top of the hill, and then I guess she spent the block again. And then next thing I know, I seen her come back in the apartments. I guess she went out the other way, and then
Rico Knowlton says he was not surprised to hear there was a shooting in his neighborhood, but he was shocked to hear a woman lost her life.
This place ain't gonna never get better. Somebody just almost ran me off the road because somebody had an accident and they didn't even want to let me come by. I'm like, how selfish can you be?
A person is not with us right now because of violence, and we're going to we're going to identify the suspects involved and get them in custody so they're not a danger to anyone else.
As of right now, police have not captured the shooter or released a description or identity of who they may be looking for. The motive is still unclear, and the case remains ongoing.